Be a baller. Welcome to Be a Baller, where we discuss how to build a lifelong legacy. I'm your host, Coach Tim Brown. Today, we're doing a special episode on a daddy's girl, a true daddy's girl, Dr. Talisa Dixon, who's a longtime educator.
Before we get started, let's hear a word from our sponsor. The team at the Financial Solutions Network is proud to partner with Tim Brown and bring you this episode of Be a Baller. Our mission is to share generously of our time, talent, and financial resources to help our clients develop financial plans and wealth management strategies that allow them to live the lives they imagine, while connecting them with experiences and people that enhance their quality of life. FCA is one of those organizations by helping young men and women through the development of their personal faith. The Financial Solutions Network is an independently owned and managed wealth advisory firm based in Worthington, Ohio. We are a multi-generational professional team of advisors with a combined 83 years of experience teaching and managing financial strategies for individuals, families, businesses, and institutions. We will be honored to help you plan your financial journey. Contact us at 614-505-3025 or visit our website at tfsn.net.
Today on the show, Dr. Dixon is going to share her experience growing up in a home that valued education, education for decades. She's been an educator for decades and has led numerous school districts during her time in education. But she's also a true Southern girl who made her way to Ohio. So Dr. Dixon, welcome to Be a Baller podcast.
Thank you. I am so honored to be here today. It's such a blessing to be able to talk about your journey. And to be here with you, because we've been knowing each other for so long, and you've kind of been a part of my journey. So I'm glad to sit here and talk about it with you today.
Yeah, I've been blessed to watch you grow up, in this whole deal. You came to Brookhaven High School, assistant principal, and then went over to CARS.
Yeah.
And then you left us.
Yes.
And then you kind of made your way back. But one thing that stood out for me was your dad. He would come to the school when you were at Brookhaven, and I was just so enamored by him. His just stature, his just presence, And for me, being a young fellow, it was just great seeing an older male, older man, and how the relationship between you and him. Because I have a daughter, and seeing that relationship really got me excited. So can you talk about that special relationship between you and your dad?
Yeah. So thank you again. My daddy was everything. I would still call him daddy, even as an adult. He grew up from very humble beginnings, the oldest of 10 kids and the first in his family to go and graduate from college. He graduated from Mississippi Valley State, and he went on to be a teacher, an administrator. He was also a coach, so he coached basketball and football, etc. But he was my idol. When we think about what girls look up to and what they hope to see in a future husband, they look at their dads. And my dad was that example for me, and just loved everything about him. We call him a gentle giant. Even though he was 6'4", he was so sweet, and just love and miss him.
What were some of the life lessons that you learned from your dad?
There were so many. Growing up in Oxford, Mississippi, growing up in the South, he wanted to make sure that the four of us, my sister and my two brothers, had every experience that he didn't have. So they made sure we were in Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, piano lessons, swimming. He just made sure he wanted us to see the world and experience everything without fear. And knowing that at the end of the day, he always said, Talisa, you have a daddy. Don't you ever worry about anything because you have a dad. And that's what I loved about him. He didn't stop us from doing our best. He knew we were going to make mistakes. Even when I was running track, he would come to all of the track meetings and say, run faster, run faster. And everybody's like, get your daddy, Talisa. But he knew that what we couldn't do. He knew I would never be a basketball player, right? Even though I tried. He said, Talisa, you can't do it, but go ahead and try out.
Right.
And so I think what I learned from that, the part of the wisdom, is always do your best. Even if you don't succeed, you tried.
Yes.
And I think that is so important, and that has just stuck with me.
You growing up in Mississippi and your family, why did your family value education so much? Why was education so important?
Wow, that's a great question. I believe they understood that education was the great equalizer, right? And if you put the work in, you would see the fruits of the labor. Now, they told us we could go to the military, we can go to college, or we can get a great job. But when we graduated at 18, here are your choices. Right, you have to do something. But I think as both of my parents are college graduates, they knew the value, and they knew if they instill that in their four children, that they would give us unlimited opportunities to do something great. So I think that's why. So we had study time. You could call our house, and it was so funny. My friends still laugh about this. If you call our home between 6 and 8 o'clock, my mom would answer the phone and say, "It is study time at the Dixon's home." I was like, oh my gosh. We would be so embarrassed. But they made sure that we set aside that time to study and focus on our work.
You attended Mississippi Valley State University.
Yes.
Can you talk about your HBCU experience?
Oh, yes. So my dad graduated from Mississippi Valley State, and my mom graduated from Tougaloo College. So the four of us had choices. We can go to any college, but it had to be at HBCU.
Right.
And so as a little girl, we always attended HBCU, events at historically Black colleges and universities. So I knew I wanted that experience. And I think for me, it personalized it for me. Growing up with, as teachers' kids, everyone knows who you are, and there are always these expectations. Right. Going away to an HBCU, yes, some people knew who my dad was, but the expectation was, Talisa, if you're going to be great, you have to do the work. There's not going to be this person that's going to say, okay, you're Murray's daughter. Here the expectation. It is, if you're going to do well, you have to do the work. And you have to stand up and say you want these opportunities. So I stood up and said I want to be a part of student government. I pledged the best sorority in the world, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And all of those things I did because I knew if I wanted different experiences, I had to have the courage to stand up and really lean into those experiences.
Give me one of those proudest moments for your dad, because you went to his alma mater. You went to his school.
Yeah, I went to his alma mater. I think the proudest moment, I want to say when I graduated with my undergrad, but then I got the master's, he was so proud. The doctorate, he was so proud. He would always, we had this thing on Sunday nights is when we would talk. Okay. He will always give me advice on what to do. I will always give him a problem or something that was happening at work. And he would say, Lisa, this is what you need to do. Even when he came to Brookhaven, he said, I want to, he would visit the four kids in the 4 different states. So he always made sure after my mom passed that he would divide his time up. So he would come to Brookhaven and he would, if some students were misbehaving, I said, Daddy, can you talk to these students? And he would. But I think he was so proud to see that his daughter was independent and doing well, even though I knew deep inside one day he hoped I could marry and have kids. But he was so proud in his own little special way. And that of the 4 of us, I'm the only one that followed their footsteps in education. Oh, okay. Right. So I think that, made him proud. Yeah.
I know you came to Ohio for grad school at the University of Akron. How did a Southern girl make her way to Ohio and stay for so long?
I know.
How'd you handle all that cold winter?
All that cold weather.
Well,
it's interesting because when I graduated from Mississippi Valley State, I got a scholarship to go to Ole Miss and was working in their admissions office. So I graduated in May, worked at Ole Miss, and my parents said, Lisa, you're not going to stay here. You're going to Ohio. I said, oh, no, I'm going to stay here. I was dating a guy that was still at Mississippi Valley State. And my dad said, no, that's why we bought you the car for graduation, because you're taking it to Ohio. I said, oh, my gosh. I actually cried all the way. I never forgot my dad said, Talisa, you have to be adult about this. And I kept saying, why are they pushing me? You know, I was doing everything that I thought my parents wanted me to do, but they were still pushing me away, and I didn't understand it. But when my dad was saying, there's more for you to see. If you stay here in Mississippi, you may not leave Mississippi. There is more for you to see. So came to University of Akron and got my master's in sociology and then in education and then my doctorate. And just started working. There was so many doors, and I kept saying, God opened so many doors. I was able to teach in Akron, be an assistant principal in Akron, go to Columbus, go to Michigan, back to Cleveland, then to Cleveland Heights, then back to Columbus. And it was all because those doors were open. And I think that's where my faith stands so strong. I just believe nothing just happens, that we're guided, our steps are ordered, and the opportunities just presented itself. And this was a blessing.
Oh, yeah. See,
yes.
And I'll tell you what, you sure value that education. I was doing a little research. You had 3 master's degrees and a PhD.
Yeah.
So what was that thing that drove you to continue in education?
I wanted to do something that hadn't been done in the family. So I was we have some cousins, I have some distant cousins who have medical degrees, but I just wanted to just do more and challenge myself, but also just start a legacy, of what could be done in the Dixon's family if they continue to surround themselves around people who love and care and know they can do the work. That's you need that. And that just helped me. I mean, so many people on this journey, and that's the piece that was so rewarding. And just really kept me moving forward, because I thought I was going to be a sociologist. Okay. I got my master's and bachelor's in sociology, and I thought I was going to be a sociologist and change the world. And then one of my professors was saying, I think you're on the wrong path, Talisa. I think education is the path for you. And I said, oh, no. My mom and dad are teachers. I am not doing that, But you never know where the journey is going to take you.
Well, I'm glad you answered that call.
Yes, I know. Me too.
I was talking to one of your principals. You were Dr. Murphy.
Oh, my gosh, I knew it, Dr. Murphy.
You was always talking to him about how you would do this, you would do that. So when he left, went to Afro State, he asked you, well, how does it feel to be in that seat?
Yeah. You know what? It's one thing to watch the seat from afar, right? And then when you're in it, it's like, oh my gosh. I love being a principal. I loved being a principal at Brookhaven, even though the sports seemed like they never were in. Oh my gosh. You're going from football to basketball to track to baseball to cross country. I was like, you never get a break. You never get a break. But to see all of that talent. Oh, yeah. And it reminded me a lot of my dad, because he also coached. Right. So he was teaching and coaching. And so I understood that. But I loved it. I saw, if you put the right systems in place and you put caring adults around kids, kids can do there are unlimited opportunities for our students.
One thing about that sports, you were definitely pushing the academics there.
Oh, yeah.
You were making sure that we're going to do all these sports, but y'all don't go to class.
I know. I think some of the students were like, oh, my gosh. But, I wanted them to understand that only a few kids go to the next level in athletics. Right. But you all can go to the next level with the degree and with your credentials. Right. And I was adamant. I said, get out of these halls, go to class, stop playing, because I knew if I didn't show that I care, who else would? Yeah.
You have a great story of Lorraine Laws. I'm gonna let you tell that one.
Lorraine
was
Levels.
6'2" or
Yeah.
6'3" basketball player.
Yeah.
Could have probably played some college basketball somewhere.
Oh
I'm
my
sure.
gosh.
But why don't you share that story about her?
Yes, Lorraine Levels. She's so sweet. Matter of fact, I'm going to Las Vegas with her and another student, Cree McCants. We're going next month. But Lorraine was a young lady who was very smart, very talented, and she wanted to go to Spelman. That was her dream, to go to Spelman. So I wanted her to complete a Bill and Melinda Gates scholarship. And so I would call her on the intercom after school and say, Lorraine, get to the library, work on a scholarship. Yeah. And I would talk to Coach Lee, everybody, to make sure Lorraine completed this scholarship. And she got it. And she got a full ride to go to Spelman. So about a month before school, that fall, she was supposed to move into the dormitories. I would call and say, Lorraine, when are you leaving? When are you leaving? And she would give me all of these stories. Oh, we're flying. Oh, we're going to rent. None of it really made sense, right? And so I talked to my then assistant principal, Mrs. Gillison, and I said, something is happening with Lorraine. Long story short, she did not have a way to go to college. And so, one, it reminded me that it's not enough for us to get the kids across the stage. We must find a way to get kids to the door of the university. So we got a van, we loaded her up and her mom, and we drove her to Atlanta and moved her in her in her dormitory. And I shared with the mom said, what do we owe you? I said, a degree.
Come on.
A degree. And 3 years ago, Lorraine Levels surprised me in the office at 270. She graduated with her PhD. And the next weekend, she was pledging Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. Really. Oh my gosh. But it just shows you the stories, behind the walls of the schools. There's so much talent. And kids just need someone to believe in it, like my parents believed in me. I would have never thought that I pick up the phone and say, Daddy, I need to go somewhere, and he wouldn't make it happen. Right. But in reality, there are a lot of students like Lorraine who are very smart, have the potential, just need some other people to help her get to where she needs to be. Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
It's beautiful.
It's a real one too.
It's a real story.
She really has a PhD.
Yes, she does.
She really has a PhD.
Yes.
When you think about, we talked a little bit about your faith, and all of us had some challenging times during our careers. Can you talk about how your faith has helped you through those challenging times?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Sometimes I think we don't understand why things happen. I just remember at 28 years old, my mom, who then was 52, had a massive heart attack and died. And so she was a science teacher. And what I learned is that life goes on. But it totally caught our family off guard. And we like, what do we do? And we stay in faith and we pray and you ask why. That's natural to normal to ask why, even when you don't understand. You surround yourself by friends and you stay reading and trusting. Fast forward in 2020 when I lost Dad, I was, my siblings and I lived in 4 different states. We knew he was battling cancer for 2 years, prostate cancer. But we made a commitment that he would never go to his appointments alone. So we created this schedule where at least one of us was going in. And so I was doing a lot of traveling because when my time came, my siblings didn't care what I did.
Right.
You, the sister,
yes.
This is your turn to take care. So when Dad called, the weekend that I had to go home was the weekend before the pandemic. And his nurse's assistant called and said, your dad said, are you coming home this week? And I said, no, what's wrong with Dad? I was just there last week. Tansy, it's her turn. And she said, no, I think you need to get here. And I said, put Daddy on the phone. I got on the phone. I said, Daddy said, everyone calls me Lisa at home. He said, hey, Lisa. He said, you need to come home. And that was on a Friday. And so when I got home, there was a Friday evening, got home Sunday morning. We were all around his bed. He couldn't even talk. It happened that fast. But he waited, Coach, till all four of us were there. Wow. And so that's your faith, because, the next week, schools were closed.
Yes, right.
Schools were closed, had a global pandemic, and you got to figure out a way to get through it. But Daddy lived a great life, He would have been 81 on May 4th. Last week, he would have been 81, But you just keep during trying times. You keep in prayer. You meditate. You keep in the Word, and you try as best as you can to surround yourself with people who understand it and really care about you.
Yeah, I think that's important. That circle. That circle
is so important.
Around those person who cares, who understand. Who just encourage you through.
Yeah, because challenges time are going to come regardless, right? And you just have to, as best as possible, stay rooted in the Word.
I think when you think about your dad, and I talk about a lot of that strength that's in you was passing from him, and your mother and all that, grandparents, all that. And we're strong people.
Yes. Yeah.
So, when trouble comes our way.
Oh my gosh.
We figure it out.
And my dad was a deacon in a church. He was a trustee. Even when he was sick, he was trying to make sure it was time for his home church, to get a new pastor elected, and he was going to those meetings. That faith. He said, "I'm going to make sure we have a new pastor elected," and the faith. Yeah.
But this being a legacy broadcast, when you hear that word legacy, what does that mean to you?
Oh, when I think of legacy, I think of what are we leaving behind for the next generation. I think it's you paying it forward, right? And you have to pay something forward to remind people of the journey, of the walk. I know there's a song, "You Never Walk Alone," and it's so true. And our path is so different. But I think legacy just reminds people of what was done, what happened. And if I can share a story about legacy building for our family, as I stated, I lost my mom was 52 when she passed away as a teacher. And when Dad passed away in 2020, my siblings and I said, okay, guys, we have to figure out a way to keep Mom and Daddy's memories alive because it gave so much to this community. So we decided, we took all the proceeds, the gifts that people were giving us and all these other opportunities, and we created the Maury and Emma Dixon Scholarship, Memorial Scholarship. So this is our third year, and we give $1,000 to up to 10 kids who want to major in science or STEM field, because those were their fields. And so my youngest brother is going next week we selected 4 students. So they have to be students from my mom's school district, my dad's school district, and we automatically give one to a member of our church. And so, and we had committed, the 4 of us, to say, we have seed money because you have insurance policies.
Yes.
And people say, what do you, and my dad and parents sent 4 kids to college. So we said, this is going to be the seed money for this, and then the 4 of us agreed that we will also put additional monies. So I have 2 nieces, and I said, when we're gone, you guys are going to have to keep this, right?
That's legacy.
That's legacy building.
Legacy.
You put your money and your assets, and you want people to remember the impact that whoever that is, and we say our parents, made on a community. Because they did. So many people showed their love for both of our parents during their homegoing services. But we want to give back to the community. And if it's 1 child, 2, or 10, and we can say, you can go to college. I mean, $1,000 is not a lot, but it can buy some books, right?
Sure,
right.
Sure.
And we give them that check say, we plant this seed because we believe in you. And it's been really an honor to be able to, it feels good to be able to do that.
Right.
And it feels good that we decided together, the four of us, that we're going to build this legacy and the memory of our mom and dad.
Wow. That's good stuff there.
Yeah.
You know, I know you've always put children and family first
Yeah.
in all your decisions.
Yeah.
I've seen that firsthand.
Yeah.
As you look at education today, how would you encourage students and parents?
Wow, that's a great question, because we know there's so many challenges now. I would say to our students, keep reading and keep learning. You know, this world is your oyster. Go out and just do whatever it is. Get those experiences. Go to the zoos, the library, get all of those places. And that's one of the things we were able to make sure students do in Columbus City Schools. You go to COSI, the library, the zoo, all those places free. You know, we don't want the parents to have to be challenged with that burden. So tell the students, read, and just whatever you want to do, find someone who can help you accomplish that. To our families and our parents, don't stop believing in your kids. There are so many opportunities that I think people don't know, but just ask. You know, I'll never forget, we were in COSI, I was a parent with 6 kids, and she pulled me aside and said, I would have never been able to do this without this opportunity. Because these places are expensive. And when you think about opportunities for kids, their opportunities should not be limited because of their family's income. So we have to figure out a way to really get over that barrier and really give kids all the experiences that they deserve. So I would say to our parents, keep challenging the systems to make sure the systems are working well for your students. There's so many opportunities that they go to their school leaders and their guidance counselors. There are a lot of opportunities that many parents don't know about. But keep, believing in their kid. Our kids follow our lead.
Yes.
I followed my dad and my mom. They were the ones that really taught us. When they was making us go to piano lessons, I said, I don't want to go to piano lessons or, swimming lessons, but they knew what they were doing even when we didn't.
Right.
So just keep pushing your students. Kids, back then we was reading the encyclopedia, right? Right now they could just read everything on their phones, right? But just keep learning, keep asking questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. Because that next generation, they are going to be so prepared. Oh my gosh. They're so much smarter than we were at that age. And it's just so wonderful to really watch them navigate this world and these places and these things, and just keep believing and advocating for our kids.
Yeah, I'm so proud of the things that you've done with that, your leadership council with the students, and just listening to them, just listening to our children and what their needs are.
Yeah, because they know.
Yeah, they definitely know.
The students know, and I think it's really up to us to make sure that they have the platform to excel.
Yes.
And we can figure out ways to make sure students have what they need. We just have to do more of it and commit to it.
Yeah, that's a commitment. So lastly, as we wrap up this Father's Day conversation, could you give a word to dads?
Oh my gosh.
The relationship of dads and daughters.
Yes, dads, to our dads, love on your daughters. Don't be afraid to tell your daughters that you love them. I say this, even though my dad loved us and I know he showed us love, my dad didn't tell us that he loved us until we were adults. So you see all these stories where you're seeing dad or saying to kids, I love you. That didn't happen, and maybe it's a Southern thing, right?
No,
but don't be afraid to be vulnerable with your daughters. I think daughters need to see that. When I was sick, and my dad came to Ohio to be with me when I had a surgery, I think daughters need to have their love for their fathers, from their fathers rather, shown in various ways. If it's a card, he bought my first set of pearls for Christmas. He bought my sister and I our pearls. those things. So no one can say, I gave you your pearls first. No, my dad gave me my first set of pearls. My dad bought me my first car. I think, to our fathers, love on your daughters. Show them in various ways that you love and respect and honor them as they grow as women.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Dixon, I want to thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure.
You.
And so we just want to encourage you.
Yeah,
Continue on. I know you're beginning that next phase of your life.
Getting ready for the next chapter. It's exciting.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it is so exciting. And I'm just really, Ohio, Columbus has been good. Ohio has been good. I've met some wonderful people here, like yourself and Dr. Murphy, that whole Brookhaven family, the Cos family, just some great people, and who are, like you, are leaving a legacy and building. So it's legacy building,
yes,
and also leaving a legacy for the next generation. It's powerful, powerful.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you for being on the show today just sharing your experience.
Thank you.
And it's been a great conversation.
Yes, thank you.
So as always, I pray that the audience have enjoyed this episode and just continue to listen to Be a Baller podcast.
Yes.
If you enjoy our show, please share this podcast with your family and friends. Be a Baller podcast is available on all major podcast stations. Be sure to come back next week as we continue to discuss on how to build a lifelong legacy. Until then, don't forget to be a baller. This podcast was created by Coach Tim Brown. It was edited by Teron Howell and produced and recorded by the video production class of Worthington Christian High School.